Logan Briggs hadn't even unpacked the last of the moving boxes when the first knock came. It wasn't a neighbor with cookies or a wave, it was a clipboard, and behind that clipboard stood Karen. Luckily, she didn't smile so much as bare her teeth. "Welcome to Maple Hollow. I'm the HOA secretary," she said, before introducing herself with a stack of printed documents thicker than the community newsletter. "And this is what keeps our neighborhood from falling apart." Logan didn't need the clipboard to know what kind of neighborhood this was. Pristine lawns, matching mailboxes, and fences measured to the inch. He nodded politely, adjusting the cap on his head. Karen didn't waste time. "Your garbage bins were on the curb at the wrong angle yesterday. Just so you're aware, that's a Category C violation." He blinked. "Didn't even know there were categories." "There are," she said, "and you'll want to learn them quickly." Before Logan could reply, the rumble of a four-wheeler cut through the silence. A teenager flew past on a quad, music blasting, tires carving lines into the common grass. Karen didn't even flinch. "Bet your son?" Logan asked, watching the teen disappear around the bend. Karen's tone shifted just enough to catch. "That's Tanner. He's spirited." Logan nodded slowly. "I guess the categories don't apply to him." She didn't answer. Instead, she dropped the clipboard into his hands and turned with a final, rehearsed smile. "We take pride in consistency here. Have a nice day, Mr. Briggs." As she disappeared down the sidewalk, Logan glanced back at his mother's window. Judy Briggs had seen the whole exchange from behind the curtains, her cane tapping against the floor in rhythm with her smirk. Later that evening, Logan was still sorting out shelves in the garage when his phone buzzed. A notification from his security system, motion detected. He opened the app and rewound the clip. A figure had approached his garage freezer around 8:32 p.m., just after sunset. Young, hoodie, fast movements. And then clear as day, a second figure, standing by the hedge. Watching. Karen. Logan paused the footage. Something cold settled in his gut. The next morning, his front door was cracked open. Not much, just a sliver, enough to make his instincts twitch. Inside, Everett looked normal. Alexa. The kitchen, groceries he had placed in the fridge the night before were missing. Brisket, ribs, soda packs. Even the homemade macaroni salad his mom had made for Sunday dinner. He checked the locks. No signs of forced entry. No broken windows. But something had been taken in. Someone had done it smooth. Judy didn't need much to connect the dots. That Lockley boy's got sticky fingers. "I'd bet my pension he helped himself." Logan wasn't ready to accuse anyone, not yet. He believed in giving people enough rope to make a decision. Whether they hung themselves with it was on them. But what struck him wasn't just the missing food, it was the notes slipped under his windshield. That morning, scrawled in messy handwriting, were just 4 words. "Next time, lock it." He folded the paper once, then again, calmly, silently. That afternoon, Karen passed by walking her poodle. She waved like they were old friends, still settling in. Logan smiled. "Yeah, just finding where everything belongs." Her dog barked. One shrill, sharp, almost on cue. And then they were gone again, as if nothing had happened. But Logan had already made a decision. That night, he installed 2 more cameras. One in the garage, one facing the driveway, and one hidden in the freezer. Logan Briggs wasn't someone who spooked easy. He'd seen darker nights and foreign sandstorms than anything this perfect little neighborhood could conjure. But watching someone sneak into his garage and steal his dinner, that was a first thought. It didn't take long for the smell to hit by Saturday night. The scent of smoked brisket and burning charcoal wafted over the backyard fences like a taunt. Logan stepped onto his porch, arms crossed, watching as string lights flickered to life to doors down at the Lockleys' home. Laughter, music, red Solo cups. A party. He zoomed in on the scene through his phone. Right there on a table sat his aluminum tray. The same one Judy had labeled "Don't touch this, means you, Logan." And standing behind the grill, Tanner Lockley, flipping meat like he'd bought it himself. Logan wasn't a petty man. He didn't make scenes. But this wasn't about food anymore. This was about nerve. Judy appeared behind him, arms folded over her robe. "That smells like my dry rub." Logan nodded. "It is," she sniffed. "You want me to call it in?" "I've got it handled," Logan replied. He didn't march over there yelling. He didn't confront anyone in front of a crowd. Instead, he made one short call to Officer Darnell Hayes. Darnell wasn't a stranger. They'd served together years ago, and now he worked patrol out of the local substation, friendly, fair, and tired of HOA calls. But when Logan explained the situation, Darnell only asked one question. "Got it on camera?" "3 angles. I'll be there in 10. 10 minutes turned into 6. By the time the cruiser rolled to a stop outside the Lockley residence, the music was thumping and teenagers were dancing on patio furniture. Karen stood in the driveway with a glass of something dark in her hand and a frozen smile. Darnell stepped out, slow and calm. Logan met him at the sidewalk. "You sure this isn't just a barbecue mix-up?" Darnell asked. Logan held out his phone. "You tell me?" The footage spoke volumes. Tanner lifting the garage latch, dragging out trays, and Karen glancing both ways while keeping lookout. It wasn't a mix-up. It was a mission. Darnell sighed. "All right then." They walked together into the backyard. The party didn't stop at first, but it slowed. Music dimmed. Laughter hushed. Tanner turned just in time to catch Darnell lifting the brisket lid and raising a brow. Nice char. What's your seasoning? Tanner swallowed. Just some stuff I found. Karen appeared from the patio door, voice firm. Is there a problem here, officer? Darnell didn't flinch. Just following up on a report of stolen goods? Karen's laugh was tight. This is a misunderstanding. Tanner thought it was his friend's house. Easy mistake. Logan spoke for the first time. Then why was his freezer empty the next morning, and my groceries gone? Karen turned sharply. Are you accusing my son of theft? I'm showing you what he took. Darnell stepped forward and placed the tray's lid back down. I'm going to need to take this as evidence. Evidence. Karen screeched. You're welcome to explain everything down at the station, he added. The party had fully quieted. Phones were out. Whispers spread like wildfire. Karen glanced around, realizing this wasn't staying private. This is harassment. You can't just accuse a child like this. He's 19, Logan replied evenly. Not exactly a child. Karen pointed a manicured finger at Logan. You're the problem. Ever since you moved in, you've disrupted our peaceful neighborhood. Peaceful until someone walks into my garage and raids my fridge, Logan said. Darnell placed a hand gently on her shoulder. Ma'am, we can sort this out civilly, but I'd suggest ending the party for now. Karen's eyes burned with fury. You'll regret this. Logan didn't answer. He just walked away. Back at his house, Judy was sipping sweet tea by the window. How bad? She asked. They're rattled, Logan said. But not enough yet. She grinned. Just don't burn the place down. Logan chuckled once. No fire. Just the truth. Monday came with storm clouds, not from the sky but from the HOA email inbox. Logan had received the message that morning. It was polite on the surface, but the undertone was clear. Dear Mr. Briggs, you are expected to attend our scheduled HOA session regarding a recent disturbance involving your household and other members of the community. Logan read the rest while sipping his black coffee. So now, I'm the disturbance, he muttered. Judy didn't look up from her crossword. HOAs don't like being embarrassed in public. You hit a nerve. By the time Logan walked into the rec hall that evening, chairs were already filled. The entire Maple Hollow board sat stiff behind a folding table lined with bottled water and frowns. Karen, as expected, had taken center seat. Her arms were crossed, and her expression was calm but smug. Tanner was nowhere in sight. Logan took his seat near the front, setting a flash drive on the table beside him like it was just a pen. Darnell had already cleared it for use. No violations, just visual facts. The meeting began with the usual droning, budget updates, garden club events, minor landscaping violations. Then came Karen's moment. We'd like to address recent behavior from one of our newer residents, Mr. Logan Briggs, she began, with syrup in her voice. She spoke slowly, dragging her words out like pulling taffy, painting Logan as aggressive, overly sensitive, and possibly paranoid. I do believe, she added, that we must maintain the integrity of our neighborhood and discourage any attempts to intimidate or falsely accuse our families. Logan waited. He didn't interrupt. He let her finish every word. Then, he stood. I was told I'd be able to respond, he said evenly. The HOA president, a balding man named Craig, nodded. A little too fast. You may proceed. Logan plugged in the flash drive. The screen behind the board lit up. Silence fell. The footage rolled. Tanner opening the side gate. Karen visible behind a hedge, checking both directions. The boy dragging out aluminum trays, grinning, leaving not a single word was spoken during the video. When it ended, Logan paused the screen on a clear, still image. Corin's face, half lit by the garage light. I didn't accuse anyone, Logan said. I showed you what happened. Karen didn't move. Another board member, a woman named Marcy, adjusted her glasses. Is that from your security system? 3 angles. I turned them over to local law enforcement, Logan said. Murmurs rippled across the room. Karen finally broke her silence. This was taken without consent. I believe this violates our privacy ordinances, Logan cut in. The moment someone steps onto my property and opens my freezer, I stop worrying about their privacy. A soft chuckle rose from the back row. Karen stood, pointing now. He's turning this neighborhood into a battleground. But that's when something unexpected happened. A woman in the third row, short with red hair and thick glasses, stood up. Actually, I want to say something. Her name was Diane, a quiet resident known more for her flower beds than her voice. Everyone turned. My Amazon packages have been disappearing for months. I didn't want to accuse anyone, but 2 weeks ago, I saw Tanner walk down our path, and 5 minutes later, my new shoes were gone. Someone else stood. He took my pool float last summer. I found it in their backyard. Another voice. I had to install a camera after my tools vanished. The room turned chaotic, the air thick with years of complaints, suddenly cracking open like a dam. And Karen, she went pale. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. No speech, no defense, no charm. Craig, the HOA president, cleared his throat awkwardly. I think we need to table this discussion and move it to a closed review. Karen whipped her head toward him. You're letting this slander continue. But even her allies were quiet now. Logan picked up his flash drive.com as ever. I didn't come here to cause trouble. I just wanted dinner with my mother. I didn't expect to lose groceries or watch a community turn a blind eye. He walked out without another word. Back at home, Judy was already setting plates. How'd it go? She asked, not looking up louder than I thought it'd be. You make waves, she said with a shrug. Always have. By Tuesday morning, Logan's trash bin had been tagged with a fluorescent orange sticker that hadn't been there the night before. The notice read, immediate attention required. Unauthorized storage of hazardous equipment in residential garage. Category B, violation. Logan stared at it, then slowly peeled it off. Hazardous equipment. He stepped into the garage and looked around, his tool rack tidy camping gear still in its bin. The only thing remotely military was a duffel bag from his deployment, zipped and untouched in the corner. Judy leaned out the door. We getting bomb threats now. Logan held up the sticker. Looks like my army boots spooked someone. It didn't need to guess who filed it. Karen was on the warpath, and now that her HOA allies were cracking, she was taking her campaign personal. By noon, an official HOA letter arrived in his mailbox. We are initiating a formal review of your property regarding multiple violations that compromise the safety and aesthetic standards of Maple Hollow. Failure to comply may result in fines or lien procedures. Logan read the letter twice. .com/silent. Then he picked up the phone and called Officer Darnell Hayes. She's trying to provoke you, Darnell said. She's not stupid. Desperate. Logan smiled without humor. Desperate people get sloppy. That afternoon, Logan set to work, not with threats or complaints, but with precision. He mounted a new motion-activated camera in his front lawn, hidden inside a faux bird feeder, another one tucked under the mailbox post, a third inside his front window, angled directly at his driveway. The setup didn't take long. What came next was just waiting. Sure enough, just past midnight, headlights rolled by his house. The car slowed to a crawl, then stopped. A shadow stepped out of the driver's side and crept up his walk. They wore a hoodie and gloves. They held something in one hand, what looked like a small metal tool. The person crouched down by his gas meter, tapped it, pulled at something. Click. Then, without a word, they slinked back to the car and drove off. Logan didn't move. He'd been watching from his living room the entire time. Lights off, phone in hand. He rewound the camera footage, paused on the face caught by the driveway cam. Tanner. The tool in his hand. A gas valve key. By morning, the house still had heat and water. Nothing had been tampered with too badly. But now, Logan had a pattern and intent. He sent the footage to Darnell again. This is beyond trespassing, Darnell muttered on the phone. He was trying to stage something. If a leak happened and someone got hurt, I know, Logan replied. That's why I'm not letting this slide. Later that day, the HOA president, Craig, knocked on Logan's door. I wanted to speak off record, Craig said, nervously glancing over his shoulder. I saw the footage. Karen's behavior, it's becoming a liability. Logan raised a brow. Only now, Craig sighed. Some of us thought she was just aggressive, detail-oriented, but this. Logan folded his arms. You knew she was weaponizing the rules? Craig hesitated, then nodded. We want her suspended while we investigate. But we need more than neighbor complaints. Logan handed him a USB drive. 3 nights worth, audio and video. Craig took it with both hands like it was a loaded trap witch in a way. It was. As he left, Judy appeared in the doorway. That the good guy, or the nervous one? Logan shrugged. He's whichever side looks like it's winning. That evening, Logan received a quiet knock. Darnell again. He stepped inside and lowered his voice. We picked up Tanner an hour ago. He tried to say he was just messing around, but then changed his story 3 times. Is he talking? Oh yeah? And he's dragging his mom in with him. Logan didn't smile. Not yet. Something still didn't sit right. He's still a kid, he said. But she's the architect. Darnell gave a slow nod. Let's see how far the structure crumbles when one piece is pulled. Karen Lockley didn't show her face for 2 full days. Not on the sidewalk, not at the HOA office, not even in the cul-de-sac where she usually held her morning leash in one hand and her phone in the other, issuing orders like a queen surveying her domain. But even in her absence, the damage she'd left behind was spreading faster than she could control it. Logan stood by the mailbox Thursday morning, flipping through the usual stack of HOA newsletters and restaurant coupons. When his phone buzzed, a message from Darnell. You're gonna want to see this. Attached was a photo and evidence table. Tanner's phone sat in the middle, screen lit, open to a chat thread. Above it, a screenshot. Logan tapped it open. The image showed Tanner posing with his friends in front of a grill. His caption, thanks to the clueless vet next door for tonight's feast. Guy leaves his freezer wide open. The timestamp matched. The night of the party, Logan read it twice. Then once more, not because he didn't believe it, but because the arrogance stung. He tapped the message back to Darnell, and the board. Still quiet, but it won't be for long. That same morning, Logan received a slip under his door. No envelope, just folded paper. It read, don't think this makes you some hero. You don't belong here. No name. But the handwriting was Karen's, looped, sharp, rehearsed. Logan folded it slowly, tucked it away. Meanwhile, Judy watched from the kitchen window. That woman's got less control over her son than I have over my thermostat. I don't think she's trying to control him anymore, Logan said. I think she's using him. Judy paused. Then it's time to stop giving them room. That afternoon, Logan visited Marcy, one of the HOA board members who had shown a flicker of honesty during the last meeting. He didn't go in demanding change. He went in with a folder. Inside, footage from his driveway camera, screenshots from Tanner's social media, Karen's printed HOA violation forms, a copy of his own clean inspection report dated just 1 week prior to the hazardous materials. Clean Marcy sat on her porch flipping through the stack like it burned her fingers. You realize if I present this, Karen's going to claim slander? Maybe retaliation? She can claim anything she wants, Logan replied, but her son's already admitted to trespassing and tampering. On tape, Marcy sighed. I've been on this board 5 years. We've never had this kind of mess before. Logan tilted his head. Maybe that's the problem. He left the folder on her patio table. No threat, no warning, just facts. Back at his place, Judy was brewing iced tea. You know, she said, back in Louisiana, we had a neighbor just like her. Walked around with a smile and a knife in her apron. What happened to her? She smiled at the wrong judge. Later that evening, Darnell called. Tanner cracked, he said. He admitted the garage wasn't open. Said Karen told him where you kept the spare key for emergencies. Logan's blood chilled slightly. That key had been tucked inside the back fence post. Hidden. He hadn't told anyone in the neighborhood. She knew, Logan asked. She's been keeping tabs on you since the day you moved in, Darnell said. You were right. This wasn't just theft. It was coordinated. The food theft, the fake violations, the gas meter stuntits, all part of a pattern. Is he naming her directly? He already did. Logan exhaled slowly. That night, the neighborhood chat group lit up. A string of anonymous posts began surfacing. Anyone else have Karen threaten a fine and then back off if you handled it quietly. She charged me for a fence panel repair that I never saw happen. Lockley's kid took my packages and I have proof. Names weren't always attached, but the pattern was undeniable. It was no longer just about Logan's stolen brisket. It was about years of quiet abuse, finally being dragged into the light. Karen Lockley's silence didn't last much longer. By Friday morning, the HOA board received an email from her personal address. Long, rambling, and full of claims that spun from neighbor safety to accusations of a military intimidation campaign being waged against her family. The subject line read, Urgent HOA board, must protect our values. Logan didn't even need to read it. Marcy forwarded it anyway. Craig, the HOA president, finally called for a special closed session meeting, but by then, it wasn't just about Karen's behavior. It was about the board's silence. At 6:30 p.m., a few dozen homeowners gathered outside the HOA building, some holding manila folders, others holding phones. Not in protest, not with shouting, but with quiet purpose. Inside, Karen stood at the front, arms crossed, lips tight. Her usual Alice Ruth from Lot 12 and Barry from Lot 3 looked like they'd rather be anywhere else. Even Craig looked older, like the weight of 5 years of complicity had caught up to him in a single day. I demand this meeting be sealed, Karen said sharply. We are not here to entertain baseless rumors. This is a legal HOA matter. Marcy didn't flinch. No, Karen. This is a community matter, and frankly, the community is tired. Karen turned, voice rising. I've given years to this neighborhood. Do you think any of you could keep this place in order without someone keeping things clean? Organized. Logan leaned against the back wall, arms crossed, not saying a word. Craig finally cleared his throat. Karen, before we go further, I need to ask, did you instruct your son to retrieve property from Mr. Briggs' garage? Karen blinked. Of course not. That's ridiculous. Craig lifted a folder from the table. This is a sworn police transcript. Taken yesterday. Karen's face shifted. Not panic, not guilt, but calculation. He's a child, she said coolly. He panicked. He's trying to shift blame. Craig opened the next folder. This is a signed affidavit from Officer Hayes, confirming that Tanner admitted to using a hidden key on your instruction. Karen's jaw twitched. You're taking a teenager's word over mine? Marcy leaned forward. He didn't just talk. He handed over messages, screenshots, and they're time-stamped. Karen stepped back, voice shrill now. This is a witch hunt. You're all being manipulated by someone who's barely lived here 3 months. Finally, Loganspoke.com. Even. I didn't come here to stir trouble, but I'm not going to stay quiet when someone breaks into my home, steals from my kitchen, and uses their power to cover it up. Karen snapped toward him. Power. I don't have power. I have responsibility. Craig interrupted her. That's what you had, Karen, and you misused it. For a moment, the room froze. Then, Marcy spoke again, this time reading from a pre-prepared statement. We, the Maple Hollow HOA Board, are voting to immediately suspend Karen Lockley from all official duties, pending investigation into multiple complaints and ethics violations. Karen gasped. You can't do that. I built this board. You'll lose your structure without me. Craig didn't raise his voice. Then I guess we'll see if it holds. The board voted. 5 hands went up. None went down. Karen's face crumbled, part disbelief, part fury. "I'll sue every one of you," she whispered, but her voice didn't carry anymore. She stormed out of the room, but this time, no one followed. Outside, Logan stood quietly as the door opened and the crowd of neighbors parted. Karen passed through the sidewalk with her head low and her stride fast, but not fast enough to avoid the murmurs. "That's her, finally. She tried to write me up for wind chimes." By the time Logan stepped outside, Marcy caught up to him. "We're putting out a formal statement tomorrow," she said. "You should know people are thankful." "I didn't do this for thanks," Logan said. "I just wanted my life to be mine again." Judy met him at the sidewalk leaning on her cane. "So," she said, "what's it feel like to be the quietest revolution this neighborhood's ever seen?" Logan gave a faint smile. "Feels like I can finally grill in peace." Logan Briggs had thought the worst was behind him. Karen was suspended. The board was cleaning house. The neighbors were finally breathing again, but something in the back of his mind refused to let him feel settled. There was one loose thread, and it had Tanner's name stitched all over it. That thread tugged itself free on Sunday morning. Darnell Hayes called right before sunrise. "You up?" he asked Barry. "We just got the full statement from Tanner. You're going to want to hear it." Logan sat up, shoulders tensing. What did he say now? He flipped. And this time, he didn't just blame Karen. That was enough to pull Logan out of bed. 30 minutes later, he was sitting in Darnell's unmarked cruiser, parked just outside the Maple Hollow HOA Center. Darnell handed him a folder, thin but heavy in weight. "Read the 3rd page," Darnell said. "Bottom paragraph." Logan scanned it slowly. Tanner had confessed again, but this time in more detail. He admitted the garage break-in, the gas meter stunt, even slipping the note under Logan's windshield. But what made Logan's jaw tighten was what came next. "My mom said if I could make life hard enough for Mr. Briggs, he'd pack up and leave. She didn't want a veteran on the block. Said people like that don't follow orders." Logan stared at the words. Darnell didn't speak for a moment. He just let the silence carry weight. "She didn't just want me gone," Logan finally said. "She planned it." Darnell nodded. "And now that motive matters, we're moving this into a different file. Not just petty harassment anymore. There's potential for civil charges, even criminal ones, if intent can be proven." Logan sat back against the seat, running a hand across his face. "And Tanner, what happens to him? He's scared. More scared than sorry, but that's something. With a record of cooperation, he'll probably get community service and a long leash to walk." Logan didn't reply right away. Darnell leaned forward. "He also asked to speak to you." Logan raised an eyebrow. "Why?" Said he wanted to apologize in person. Said it's what his dad would have told him to do if he was still around. For a moment, Logan sat still. Then he nodded once. "Set it up." Later that afternoon, in a small interview room at the precinct, Logan sat across from the kid who'd started it all. Tanner looked smaller without his swagger. Hoodie sleeves tugged over his hands, hair unkempt, eyes red, like he hadn't slept. "Right in days I didn't think it would go this far," he said. Logan kept his gaze level. "Did you think at all?" Tanner flinched, but nodded. "I thought you'd just leave. Everyone else does when mom starts pulling strings." Logan tilted his head. "So this wasn't your first time doing something like this?" Tanner hesitated. "No, we did this to a guy 2 years ago. He built a shed without permission. Mom told the board he was unstable. The guy moved out 3 months later. That shed guy a vet too?" "I don't know." "You do?" Tanner looked down. "Yeah." Logan leaned forward, voice steady. "So you broke into my garage, tampered with utilities, and made threats all because your mother wanted control?" "I didn't want to disappoint her," Tanner whispered. Logan exhaled. "And how's that working out for you now?" Tanner didn't answer. A knock at the door broke the silence. Darnell stepped in, gave Logan a nod. They left the precinct. Together, under a dim orange sunset. "You think he gets it now?" Darnell asked. Logan paused. "I think he's finally seen who she really is. That's a start." As he pulled back into Maple Hollow, neighbors waved from lawns. Some nodded. Some looked away maybe, ashamed they hadn't stood up sooner. But the weight had shifted. The air was lighter. Judy waited on the porch with 2 glasses of lemonade. "He cries?" she asked. "Almost good. That means there's still a person under that mess." Logan smiled faintly and sat down beside her. "It's not over yet." "Nope," Judy said. "But you're closer than ever." The final HOA board meeting of the season was supposed to be about budgets and landscaping contracts. But everyone in Maple Hollow knew what the real agenda was. By the time Logan arrived, the community hall was standing room only. Folding chairs filled the aisle. Neighbors who hadn't shown their faces in years now leaned against the back walls, whispering. The usual calm air of HOA bureaucracy had been replaced by something different. Anticipation. Karen Lockley sat at the end of the board's folding table. Her posture was upright, but the pride she wore like armor had cracked. No clipboard. Smile, just pursed lips and narrowed eyes that darted from one corner of the room to the next. Greg, the HOA president, took the microphone. "Before we begin our standard items," he said, "we need to address the matter concerning board member Karen Lockley. He didn't sound nervous this time. He sounded like a man who'd finally stopped looking over his shoulder. Karen raised a hand, coolly. I have a statement, she said. Craig nodded. Go ahead. Karen stood slowly and adjusted her blazer. For years, she began, I've given my time, energy, and personal resources to this community. I've enforced rules others ignored. I've kept this neighborhood safe and beautiful, even when that meant making hard choices. She looked around. Now, because of one man and a few bitter homeowners, I'm being treated like a criminal. My son made mistakes, I've admitted that, but I won't let those mistakes erase everything I've done. She stepped back and folded her arms. I will not resign. The room was silent, until Marsicam ever spoke. You may not resign, Karen, but you can be removed. Craig cleared his throat. As of today, based on findings submitted by both local law enforcement and testimony from multiple residents, the board is voting on the permanent removal of Karen Lockley from all HOA duties. This includes administrative access, decision, authority, and her seat on the enforcement committee. He held up the motion slip. All those in favor, one by one, hands went up. Craig, Marcy, Barry, Ruth finally folding. Every single board member. Karen turned slowly to look at them. All her face didn't move, but her eyes burned. Cowards, she whispered. You're excused, Craig said, effective immediately. For the first time in years, Karen had nothing to say. She stepped down from the board table, walked through the middle of the room like she didn't see the rows of neighbors watching her. But they watched. She passed Logan at the door without a word. He didn't move, just met her eyes. And for a split second, her expression broke. Not anger, not pride. Defeat. After she was gone, Craig looked out over the crowd. We'll be restructuring the HOA over the coming weeks, he said. If anyone would like to volunteer for open seats, speak to Marcy after the meeting. This board answers to all of you. Starting now. The room finally breathed again. Later, on his porch, Logan sat with Judy as the sunset painted the sky in soft golds. You should join the board, Judy said. Logan smirked. I just got rid of one power-hungry nightmare. You want me to sign up for more? You wouldn't be power-hungry, she said, sipping her tea. You'd be a shield. He looked down the street. Neighbors were out. Kids playing with chalk. A woman planting flowers near her mailbox. One man mowing a lawn, no measuring stick in sight. It was peaceful. The kind of peace that doesn't come from silence, but from accountability. From people who finally stopped being afraid to speak. I'll think about it, Logan said. As night fell, a final text buzzed on his phone from an unknown number. Sorry. Again, I'll do better. Tanner. Logan stared at the message for a moment, then he typed a reply. Start with yourself. You've got time. He hit send, put the phone down. And finally he exhaled. Narrator voice over final reflection. Karen ruled with control, but Logan, he led with evidence. And when the truth came forward, no power, no rulebook, no clipboard could hold it back. Final call to action, subtle and grounded, in every neighborhood. Someone like Karen is waiting to take more than their owed, but all it takes is one person calm, patient, unshakable, to remind them where the line is drawn. Closing beat, and in Maple Hollow, that line was drawn with a grill tray, a freezer camera, and one man who wasn't going anywhere.